Okay, what's up, YouTubers? NOX here. I'm going to be talking about the latest mod or the latest hack that I've been doing on Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks. What I've done is I've basically used a move modifier to change certain aspects of the games for certain characters. Now, what most people have been doing is they've been using the move modifier to give characters who don't normally have moves specific moves. So they would pick someone using the character modifier such as Smoke, and then give that character Scorpion's moveset. I find that kind of useless, not only just because you can play as Smoke with any moveset, but it doesn't really add to the gameplay for me. And like I always try and find cheats that add to the gameplay. So if you could give me an extra character, that's great. But don't give me a character and then give me a normal character's moveset with it. That's kind of pointless. So what I've done is I've used the codes, and for that I'm gonna thank someone called MK Goro, because I was watching his post of how he was using specific characters on PC, and what he was doing, he was using something called Art Money to find a hack to change the moves for the characters. And this is where it gets a little complicated. You can see here in my code box, I've got two sets of codes along under the boss fix code. And what these do is technically the code themselves, the code actually changes the player 2's moveset to be for player 1. So I can give you an example in a minute. What I'll do is I'll just take a look at the actual edit for the code. Okay, so here we've got a couple of things going on. The first number is the option to play as a specific character. I can't remember which character it is now. 54 I think might be Scorpion. So this would choose Scorpion automatically for you. And then I've got another code just below this. This code I'm actually using to Joker or hotkey a combination for the next line. Okay, and the next line is actually the move modifier code. So you'll see, for instance, there that I'm move modifying to Scorpion. Okay, and if I go back one, you'll see this is the player 1 moveset of player 2. I think 54 might be Reptile, actually. I will check in a minute. Alright, so in theory what happens is then now, because of you see the first code line reads 00C to 9750. 50 is actually the code designation for player 2. So you're changing player 2's character, 54, at the very end of that, to Reptile. Okay, and the hotkey combination here is a combination of keys that you can use that activate the code below. The code below is choosing the moveset of player 2 in this case. So choosing the moveset of player 2 Reptile. Alright, and I've put these three into one code specifically. So what will happen is I'll choose any character, for instance, and then I'll press whatever hotkey them to, L2 and down in the game, and then I'll be able to switch to that character's moveset. So I'll be able to switch to Reptile, for instance. Player 1 moveset return. This is where I've decided to make it so that I can switch between styles. I've done something very similar. Yeah, I think 52 is Scorpion, actually. So here I've gone and done player 1. You can see the code there is 00C2974C. 4C is player 1's character modifier. And 52 option, I think, is Scorpion. I'll change them in a minute. Actually, I can check quickly. What are Scorpions? Yeah, Scorpions are 52. So the moveset, or rather the character modifier for this is then 52, which is Scorpion. Here again, I have the move modifier code. Or sorry, here this is the Joker combination and the move modifier code that the Joker activates. And this time I'm going to be using L2 and up to change from one to the next. So those are the codes I'm busy using to swap styles. This is more interesting to me because if you use these two codes in conjunction, it means that you can pick a character for player 2 in your one-player game and actually switch styles between the characters, which is a lot more fun than picking a character who doesn't have any moves and then giving him moves, which to me is kind of pointless. This adds to the game. I like adding things to the game. So this is what these two are going to do. And let's run through an example quickly. So I'll add these two quickly. By the way, I'm using a DMS4 modded PS2 for this. So this is all on a specific mod chip, the DMS4 mod chip, running what we call Toxic OS. But you can still do these cheats or these hacks using similar hack cartridges or hack devices, such as, for instance, the Codebreaker code system. I believe there's an open source PS2 version one as well. So you can use all of those things to activate the codes in a very similar manner. So let's quickly find Mortal Kombat. There it is, and we'll start up Mortal Kombat quickly. Alright, the screen's gonna... There we go. So we got Mortal Kombat happening there. X there. Alright, so yes, obviously there's a limitation to specific character uses. Some characters' move sets don't work very well with others. For instance, if you start taking Kung Lao for everybody and throw his hat around, it glitches a lot of the characters. So you have to decide, or you have to check who you're going to mold together as a cohesive team. I must say that the mod between Sub-Zero and Scorpion looks quite cool. I think I'll show that one next. So let's just go single player. It doesn't matter who you pick, because we've chosen them already.
A battle raged at the end of the first tournament. The forces of Earthrealm were facing their greatest challenge. Mortal Kombat!
Let's go past this. Alright, so on the cutscene, because you've had both the player 1 and the player 2 character already coded in, you should actually see Reptile and Scorpion. Reptile player 2 and Scorpion player 1. Note I didn't do this the other way. If I did Reptile with Scorpion's moves, Scorpion would look, or rather Reptile would look really funny as if his midriff is missing. So I prefer using this method. Alright, Raiden, blah blah blah.
Pick up the items I've left behind for
okay, so there's Scorpion, for instance, and that's just basically normal. But if I hold down now my L2 button, which in this case is the lock-on button, and press down, you're going to see the name change to Reptile. Okay, and what happens there is now he has Reptile's moves. So all those commands that Reptile has, he can now do, including the slide and the split, all those things. So that's what I like about him, specifically because Reptile has got some really cool looking combos. These things are awesome, and they actually quite suit Reptile. I mean, quite suit Scorpion as well. Looks very cool. Okay, so then the nice thing about this is you can now change it back to Scorpion. So if you press the L2 button and hold the L2 button and press up, or press them both together, you'll suddenly change back into Scorpion. And then he has all his moves back. This is really nice because you can actually change your running attacks, your normal attacks, everything changes. So if you check Scorpion's running attacks, those are what they look like. If he changes back to Reptile, you'll see they all change. So there's the slide, there's the roll. Omo, cool looking punch. The same for all the normal attacks. There is one important thing to note though. If you were to play as Scorpion and chain your attacks from one to the next, it's entirely possible. So you can do, let's say, 3 square, 2 triangle, and 1 circle. And they would all work. But if you're playing as your character modded one, you can't do that. So you can press 3 square and triangle, nothing happens. 2 square, 1 square, no, nothing. Even the 8-way direction attack system doesn't work. So when you change from one side to the other, you can't do that. If you change back to Scorpion, you'll see you can. So that flow combat that you normally have with the character is then missing. You won't give all the other attacks in between. Just bear that in mind. There are some limitations. Also, something interesting happens if you use specific characters for changing. For instance, if you use, let's say, Scorpion's, what is this? Modifier and square, he does the teleport. If you then change to Reptile and don't press anything else except the teleport, you'll notice that like some of the graphics actually change. So you get like an almost acid bubble, which is Scorpion disappearing with a fiery cloud, and here he is disappearing with the acid bubbles on the side, which is quite cool. I think if you do it with some of the other attacks as well, we can try quickly. So, okay, that uppercut actually later on flames, so you'll have an option to change that graphic as well. If you then switch to Reptile, you'll have those bubbles appear around him as well when he does the uppercut. It also works the other way around. So if you're playing as Reptile and you do a special move, such as the spit, and then change to Scorpion, you'll start spitting fire, which is very cool. You know, it's an added bonus. Certain things then look a bit more interesting. Same with the other attacks. So you do the change to Reptile and you do his slide, for instance, and you change to Scorpion. Notice the slide has like black smoke, and the very last one, if you do the explosive bubble, and you change to Scorpion and then do the explosive bubble, there's like this cloud of gas. So some of the special moves then change. If you use other characters who have graphical effects, such as Reptile, whose mouth salivates the whole time, you'll also notice that some of those effects change around the features. I think the best one is definitely the version where you meld Scorpion and Sub-Zero, which I'll do in a minute. Yeah, so I mean, you can do some pretty cool combos. Also important is that with specific attacks, if you change in between the attacks and the character doesn't have graphics set up for that specific attack, the game will stall. So, for instance, this attack that Reptile does, this combo, that last hit, if you change to Scorpion during that, the game will actually stall. So you have to be careful what you decide to use. Come on, guys. Get out of here. Something also that's interesting is that the combos that you do with the weapons, for instance, also don't work when you're using Reptile or the second character, modified character. They don't work. It's quite cool to play like this. Alright, let me switch out and show you what I mean with changing Scorpion to Sub-Zero. Let's reset here quickly. So some characters do work quite well together. In fact, some of the finishing moves look like they were meant for one another. If you were to take Baraka and give him Kung Lao's moveset, not only would you be able to do finishing moves that look very, very similar, but you'd also be able to play the game from start to finish with him, because you'd be able to use all of Kung Lao's brutalities and fatalities and mortalities. So all those places where you normally wouldn't get past, you'd now be able to get past just by switching to the other character's move style. So let's try Sub-Zero. What's Sub-Zero's number? Sub-Zero. Let's find him. Okay, this is Sub-Zero. So he's 58. So we change moveset style to 58. Sub-Zero. 58 there. Cool. Change this one to 58. 58. Save it quickly. Alright, then let's activate our codes. Try it again. So another nice thing about this is if you are playing with specific characters, their voices actually translate to the others, with the exception of Kung Lao. I think his voice is always that ridiculously high-pitched screech when he does flying kicks or things. But a lot of the other characters, like Baraka, they'll use extra sound effects, grunts and things when you're actually playing as them. Let's pick Scorpion again.
A battle raged at the end of the first tournament. The forces of Earth.
So you will remember that Sub-Zero has got animations, or rather effects, after he's done his ice moves. You'll see that around his head usually there's a sort of a glow, and that his hands will have this frosty ice on them. If you were to change between characters, you'll actually see the effects change as well, which Scorpion's favor looks immensely cool. Alright, thanks Raiden.
Pick up the items I've left
So
behind
Scorpion
for
doesn't actually have
protection.
an idle animation other than his standing attack when he does things. But if you change to Sub-Zero and do his special, you'll notice that Scorpion takes his mask off, which is very cool. And his hands are now as if they're frozen. If you then change back to Scorpion, the animation for those will change to fire, which just looks amazing. It looks really cool. Also, it means that his next special will have fire on it, I think. Yeah. So that's that one thing. Let's change it back there. Right. This. Oopsie. Change it back to Scorpion. Flamey hands. Look out with flamey hands. I'll spec one more. Frosty hands quickly. Oh. What happened? Change. Oh. Yeah. This looks weird. That looks cool. And that still freezes, so your opponent does get frozen, you do that. Yeah. Scorpion in all his maskless glory. Looks very cool.
Learn to perform.
Getting munched. Chill. Yeah. Alright, so that gives you an explanation of how the cool effects happen. But you can also do their finishing moves. Let's experiment with someone else quickly. Jet. I think Baraka with Kung Lao's moves is probably my favorite. So let's do that. What is Baraka's number? 53. So let's give that's a 53. Let's give him Kung Lao. Kung Lao is 0-1, I think. No, Liu Kang is 0-0. Kung Lao is 0-1. Save that. And also, the reason why I've decided to use L2 and up and L2 and down is that up and down don't do anything while you're busy fighting. So you would think you could just make it up or down and you'd be fine. The problem is during the menus, if you press up and down, you start switching characters, which causes havoc when you're trying to buy your abilities for, let's say, the characters that you can buy them for. So you don't want to just make it one button. You want to make it hard to make a mistake in the menus. Otherwise, you just can't get all your moves, can't purchase them, can't access them. All right, this should be. What's nice about this as well is if you can switch between character styles, you can play characters like Jade, also give them the moves of Liu Kang, Kung Lao, Sub-Zero, Scorpion, and play through the entire game. Although I wouldn't pick Scorpion. Alright.
Liu Kang.
Thanks, we'll take Baraka.
A battle raged at the end of the first tournament. The forces of Earthrealm were facing
Baraka's moves
the
also work
greatest
extremely well
challenge.
with Melina and Kano. Back at Goro's lair.
Pick up
Okay.
the items I've left behind
So-
for information.
We also have some of the strange effects occurring if you switch characters.
Radiant's advice will help.
Like having this cool effect when Baraka is standing still with the Kung Lao. Right. Something's also interesting if you pick up Baraka and do his normal attack with the square, in other words the modified square, and then switch over, you'll actually throw hats. You know, throw 4 hats that you don't have. Not that it looks like a hat, so it's fine. But the spin actually suits him, I think, because in Mortal Kombat Trilogy, he had a spin attack. The hat not so much. You'll see the actual knife, if he's using his knives at the same time, his swords will actually appear backwards on his arm if he's done that while they're out. So, you know, just rather wait for the hat to come back and it doesn't look goofy. But yeah, he's got all these combos. Earn the attacks later. Go back to Baraka and he'll run around with a backwards sword on his arm. It's not backwards, it just looks like it's a bit short. Big deal. I can live with it.
Learn to perform.
It's also important to notice that you don't get the multiple dive kicks. Kung Lao. Alright, let me show you what I meant with the weapons.
The island is coming apart.
Hit me.
Excellent.
Liu Kang, behind you.
Yes, Liu Kang, look out behind you.
When multiple
This guy has the best combos. Alright, this is what I wanted to show you. So, if you're going to use your other character at this point, or other character modifier, then, or other move modifier, you're not going to be able to combo from square to triangle to circle. Not that it matters.
The stench of death is over.
up here. Cage.
Thanks, Cage. Oh. Backwards mom again.
now have... You must execute. You must execute a fatality.
Thanks.
Now hit the enemy.
Fatality that actually looks like it was meant to be.
Excellent.
Yeah, I think if the weird glitch with the sword happens, you can actually just do a normal fatality with the Baraka and it'll change back. So if we change the gun now,
Those stalactites.
if our arm's all weird now. Yeah, you see the arm's all weird? The sword's all weird. If you actually just do a normal finishing move, Baraka it should change back. Yeah. You have a combo? Go check why Kung Lao's moved. That's it.
Use caution.
Also, it's probably not a good idea to change characters in the scene. Sometimes that causes the game to stall as well.
You now have the ability. guards ahead when you lock on to it.
Excellent.
Baraka Lao.
Long ago, in the magic realm of Outworld, Shao Kahn hungered for power, for strength, for all things dark and arcane. The blood he spilled in his brutal conquest of Outworld
I'm gonna skip to a point where I need to get to immortality. Okay, so clearly the point of where we need to use immortality to progress. Alright, at this point in the game, you need to do a mortality to proceed. Now, normally if you're playing as Baraka, that would be impossible. But allowing getting the moves from the other characters, you can just change to that style, use the mortality, and then you'll be fine.
Mortality obtained. You must perform it.
Coming out. Alright, we need some extra people.
You must perform it.
Finish him!
Seems quite fitting with Baraka doing it as well. Yeah.
Mortality.
And at least that way you can progress.
For known mortalities.
It's also something important to note that I wanted to show earlier, was that...
Kitana is hiding out at the top.
Thanks, Colonel. If you go to the purchase menu, while you're Baraka, you'll notice that a lot of your things are just vague. They don't actually give you any sort of, you know, details. Or when they do, they show you someone like Liu Kang, which should be the player one. If you were to style switch while in this menu, the moves would change simply to Kung Lao. So you can see how if I had to just use up or down as an option, it would really mess around that menu. So fortunately, by using the L2 button and up or down, the menu still stays pretty constant. You can purchase all your specials like you need to. That's pretty much it. If you guys have any questions or feedback, you know, just drop it on the page, and I'll do what I can to answer. Take it easy.